Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Tiarnan Podcast, episode 10. We haven't succumbed. We probably a routine win, but we haven't succumbed to an April Fool's dilemma up in Oriel Park tonight. A routine win is probably the best way of putting it. A 2-0 win to the town. And what was a mediocre game is probably the best way of putting it. So we were low on staff tonight, so we're going to bring in, first of all, I'm taking over presenter duties tonight from the main man. So we'll bring in Chris Clark. Chris, you were at the match yourself. What did we think? Is it just me? Am I over-analysing the routine win, or what did you think?
Yeah, look, I didn't think it was too bad of a game tonight. I think, I think it's one of those things that UCD probably didn't challenge us in a way we would have liked tonight. I think it was a tough slog at times. I think we probably could have scored more. We had opportunities there in the second half. I think, we'll probably talk about the goals in a second, but, the pass from Akari for Hubin's goal, the second one is just unreal. I thought Benton had a cracking game. I think Slogga probably a bit loose tonight is probably how I would describe his performance. A little bit loose. You could see him, he was a wee bit frustrated at the end. I think he knew his touch and that wasn't there. Doyle, good game from Doyle tonight as well. And I think Boyle was his normal decent self. I think, Shepherd pulled off a save at this first half, and I think that's about all he had to do.
Pretty much
the whole game, but look, I'm happy enough with that sort of a performance. I think they're ones you would be expected to beat UCD at home, but it's not always that easy. So I think I'll be delighted with that.
Yeah, when you mentioned, you touched on Benson there. I think what Robbie gives to a team, if he doesn't play tonight, and we're relying on maybe a Keith Ward, Keith Ward obviously hasn't got the 90 minutes in him, but you'd really worry if you didn't have someone like Robbie Benson. Sloggett and Doyle can do a job, but they don't seem to have that little bit of kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? That little bit of give going forward. They don't seem to have that little bit of guile to kind of seek out that pass. But, like yourself, I thought Benson was a stand. I thought Pat Hoban had a fantastic game. Like, at one stage, he was running midfield. He was coming that deep for the ball. Pat had a massive game. I thought, the little bits of it, the game started really slow for Dickie Kelly. I thought, first couple of crosses, I think they ended up down the Carrick Road and listening to Ara. I think some of them were pretty poor. I think it took them a while to get into the match.
I tell you, I think I have a problem with just the audio on my side here. Do you want to bring in Tiarnan there for the moment, and I'll jump back in 2 seconds if that's all right?
No problem. So we're gonna bring in Tiarnan Mulvenna. No, literally the man needs no introduction. Just going to bring him straight in. Tiarnan, welcome to the podcast.
Well, folks,
you went at the match tonight, but what just of the season going along for Dundalk at the minute? I know you're involved in the underage structure, but just on Dundalk, the senior team this season, what are you thinking of O'Donnell and the setup that's gone so far?
I think there's a lot of positives, to tell the truth. It's a young team. A lot of boys kind of coming over, say the 3 Welsh boys even. There's a lot of new players around the place. So it's hard to get a full scale of things, really, if you know what I mean. When I know the league we're used to a lot of new players in every team every year, kind of. So I know Stevie went in last year, and there wasn't probably as much changes as in Pat's last year as there is at Dundalk this year. So in time, and again, we're not in a bad position in the league. We've won tonight. It's another great win. It's 3 points, and it'll move us up. And you just have to keep on taking positives, no matter what performance sometimes look like. You just have to take massive confidence from another win and move on to next week. And I think the team are getting a lot better. I think the likes of Paul Doyle and all, it's been hard coming from UCD into the Dundalk, where the competition, even with Greg Slogga coming back and then the rest of them in midfield, it's hard to get games. Joel Adams probably not fully up to match sharpness because he hadn't played in a long time before coming from Brentford. So if you give these boys time, again, Louis McCarry is his first dipping his toes into senior football, and the first game, I think everybody's probably critical of him, and he's only a kid. You know what I mean? Now it looks like he's steady, he's good in the ball. I think he'll get better as his confidence grows. And then missing the likes of Dan Leahy and John Mountney, the two probably experienced fullbacks or wingbacks that he will probably end up playing with. So we have to take all that into consideration. And with David McMillan then being out injured for long periods or in and out the whole time, kind of seems like he picks up injury, same as Dan Kelly. Like Pat Hoban is having to make sure he stays fit, guaranteed every week, else then you might have problems. But Pat keeps on pulling it out of the bag. He's going to be the best goal scorer and the best striker that the club has ever had, and we're lucky that we still have him, to tell the truth.
Do you find, obviously, you're back up at Oriel Park now? I know you were gone last year. We try not to dwell too long on last season stuff. But, do you find there's a similar type of vibe that was there? Like, basically, have you gone back for that similar type of vibe you felt the first time you were up? Is there that kind of that mentality of club community and stuff?
I think it's a lot better. I think the familiar faces that were there beforehand, the people who knew Dundalk better than anybody on the outside, and it's not hard to see why. Even around the place, it's a better feel, isn't it? Like everybody, even going up, it's a better feel. No one's even talking about what happened or anything. You know what I mean? It's gone, it's done, it's forgot about. It's time to move on. Things happen for a reason. Maybe we were all spoilt, because we really were, and we didn't realise how much we were spoilt until it was took away from us. So times like now, when you probably aren't, yes, we're not top of the league, but we can still take something from winning games of football, and there's not so much carnage coming out of the club every single day. So if we take a wee bit of respite from that, we'll be fine. It's great being back, to tell the truth. Like it was hard being away in the first place, but it's great being back, and it's the only place that we all want to be on a Friday night, or in our case, nearly every night. But it's great being back. Yeah, the feeling's back. It's a community. We all know the people who were let go the last time or stuff, what happened. It's all done and dusted, and people aren't even talking about the club. I'm not joking in saying probably the last 3 or 4 months that I've been there hasn't even been a word of last year. We kind of nipped it in the butt as soon as we walked in. Got to do with players wise and coaches wise. It's done. It's forgot about, and we move on, and we remember everything else bar last year, and that's it.
Yeah, I think the best, that's you've hit the nail. That you draw a line underneath it. I know we tend to go back on it sometimes to compare, and you know, like even tonight's results are perfect example where we say, right, it's a kind of it's a meh kind of game. Do you know, that kind of like, yeah, we won and that, but, you know, and I keep saying, I was talking to Ken from the Men Who Say Football podcast as well, and it's an ordinary game, but when you compare them this time last year, you'll chew your hand off for games like that each week, wouldn't you, Chris?
Yeah, exactly. I think I'd take a mundane game, you know, that you get the 3 points out of no problem, and you get yourself set up for the next one. But you know, like, I think Tiarnan made a good point there when you actually sit down and think of the amount of players that we brought through this year, and the lack of football that some of them probably had over the past 6 months. The big step up, a lot of them are playing to senior football as well, Tiarnan. You know, like, I briefly touched on Nathan Shepherd there earlier. Like, this is his first shout at senior football, and being a goalkeeper for you know, set pieces, corner kicks and stuff like that in senior football, and you're taking the rough and the tumble with it. You know, it's night and day the difference. You know, what he'll learn at the moment, like, will last probably for his whole career, because these are, especially when you're goalkeeping, it's a split decision. You know, come for a ball, don't come for it, come through players and stuff like that. And when you're playing senior football, you know, you have to harden up fairly quickly. You know, it's not as lenient.
I think he learned more in pre-season than he probably ever learned in his life. And that's the truth. Pre-season was that Bows game, and if we go back, it was tough. Let's be honest, like, and we were all probably sitting back home. But now the Rover saves, and we all see the highlight reels and all. The kid's a great shot stopper, and again, same as Louis McCarry, everything's confidence. These kids need confidence. It's hard coming across. They're all probably leaving home for the first time and stuff like that, or being around their comfort. Like, everybody has to have a comfort zone. They've came away from it, and they had the guts to come over. And then yes, he done a smart thing, and he probably got 2 of his mates to come with him, like we seen in the interview. But there you go, and it's paying off. Like, Dan Williams looking at a few things and hearing a few things about Swansea people talking and all. they really, really rate him. I think Wales really rate him as well, even in the 21s when you see the interviews and all. I think he's a top player that we've got. I think it's similar to where Stevie got the two boys kind of from the Liverpool keeper and stuff like that. I think it could be. I think he's got a master stroke in that one, to tell the truth. I think he's the top find of the Dundalk players. I think he's. I know what I like about him. He has that nasty thing of back in the day. I think he's not afraid. Now he gets booked every game probably, but you know what I mean. He's good for a booking, but and again then he can pass the life out of you. So he's the one I like.
I think also if O'Donnell's able to get a tune, you know, and a regular run in the side for Dan Kelly as well. Like, I think we all know there is definitely a baller in there, and he's just been so unlucky with injuries and everything else. Like the goal tonight's going to do him the world of good. Get in there, maybe, you know, with Bradley coming in there and he has to play on the left now. This could be just the making of him. He seems to prefer this where he can cut in and he's, you know, maybe opening up the pitch on the inside, rather than being space closing on him when he was playing on the right. Just seems to be a different player, and there's a lot more confidence there. You could see it.
Like if you go through that team that you're even naming, like when you're going Dan Williams and all, it's like an under 21 team really trying to compete in the men's league. I know you have Andy Boyle and you've Pat, you've Greg probably, and you've a spine. But then the rest of them are like young boys, and we have to realise and give them time. Yes, there's going to be ups and downs and all, but again, when you go back to last year, you'd snap your hands off for up and downs without the rubbish coming out. You know what I mean? So let it. I think we should just enjoy. I think this year is more of kind of just enjoying being back. We missed obviously going back to Oriel and all. And I think if we have a good year and we get a couple of big wins, even that will lift even people. Like if we go. And beat Rovers at home when the big crowd. I think the Derry, even the first game of the season. I think everybody was buzzing because we thought, you know what, we have a decent. Like they've signed everybody. Anybody who was available, they've just wanted. Like they've done an old Rovers job, didn't they? Like 24 centre midfielders and all. You know what I mean? And we see where we played them, but it's great to see it, and we're competing. You know what I mean? And yes, it's not the Dundalk of old, but give it time, and I think. We have a couple of youngsters as well coming up. Hopefully they can break in as well, and all in time, I think we'd be fine. And I think Stevie's the right man as well. I think he has Patrick Craig in with him as well, and young boys who are willing to learn. And yes, everybody makes mistakes, but if we stick by it, and the fans don't make too much trouble and get us too much fines and all, we'll be fine.
Yeah, I just on tonight's as well. Just when you mentioned Dan Kelly, Chris. His finish for his goal was, now I'm watching from the stand. I don't know what you've seen from up above, but the keeper, if the keeper comes out at all, he takes it off him. But the keeper just gave that little bit of hesitation. But it's a fantastic finish to go round him in one touch and in the back. It was so fast. It was
the 1-2 with Pat too, though. You know, the defender, by the time he turned to see where the ball had gone, Dan Kelly had gone past him. And then, you know, like I think when the keeper started coming, he was kind of thinking, do I wait for a touch from the keeper here? And then he was actually, I can just put this out wide and bend it into the goal. Like, you know, it's excellent. But like I say, there was times there tonight that our 1-2 play was exceptional football, right from front to back, quick pass and moving from one end of the pitch to the other. And I think, like Tiernan said, we dreamed of this sort of football at times last year. You know, being able to play expansive football like that. And it's clearly, lads, that I'd say it's probably partly to do with somewhat of a confidence that Skip has put back into the squad that was missing last year. I think people were worried about making a mistake because every mistake we were being lambasted and we were being absolutely hammered for. Like, teams were waiting for us to make a mistake because they knew it was in us. If we just keep applying the pressure to Dundalk last year, we would crumble at some stage and give you an opportunity to get something out of this match. Now I think it's more of, well, you know, we proved it in the Derry match at home. We proved it in the Rovers match. We can compete with these guys. And I think Skip's just said to them, go and play your football. You're good enough to play it. I back you on all of this, and you're starting to see that starting to come through in our play there at times there tonight. They were exceptional football, like. Yeah,
what I found, especially in the first half, I noticed now Bradley. I know he scored a header earlier in the season. But for a winger, it's almost like, not comparing him, but it's like Ronaldo coming in off the side. For his heading ability is like, He outjumps most centre halves. His spring is unbelievable. Like, he's hit the bar, you know, it's half a chance, I suppose. The keeper probably, you know, makes a bit of a meal of it, but, you know, there's goals from, he can score goals from anywhere. Like, he could almost play, if you had a situation where, you know, Pat might have been injured and David wasn't fit, or you could nearly play him up front. Like, I think he can play right across the three at the front. I thought he was excellent. Now, all season, maybe not his greatest game tonight, but his heading ability is unbelievable. Like, the fact that he gets up and he can challenge. Like, I thought he had one or two great touches with Bakary as well. I thought the two of them linked up really well. But having someone like that can play, like we mentioned it before, we've squads of players, and Tiarnan will probably know better than anybody. We've a squad of players that can double up and 2 or even 3 positions. I think Bradley's going to be key to going forward. I think Dickie Kelly's come in tonight, played on the left, like you said. But I think the two of them together, we didn't know if they'd work. You know, we kind of thought maybe Keith Ward will get a run. You know, you've got Adams playing out right, left or right as well. But I think those two could be the way that it's probably going to go for most of the season, I think.
Yeah. And I think that's just been the caliber of player that Skip has brought in. It's, you know, they're not utility men, but there's players that can play in a preferred position, but you can also play in the multiple positions. And we've probably been blessed with that, because when, you know, Leahy got injured and that we kind of we were patching up at the back at times. And, you know, you remember Sam Bone was bouncing around, Bakary was bouncing around, left back, right back. So I think it's good that he did invest in that type of, like, it's the right caliber of player. And I think that's it. And I think there's a confidence that when those players play outside of what they would call their preferred position, I still think they're quite natural in those roles. And I think that's probably making a difference. But look, it's a results business, football as well. And I think just to get the win tonight, never mind the performance, I think that's just the important. Get the 3 points on it. Some of the results, you know, kind of, you look at the draw, the result in that tonight, like, nothing great tonight. It kind of shows that maybe this might be a fairly open league this year. So just you would assume you would get 3 points tonight, but just to definitely have them in the bank now, I think that's the main thing. Yeah.
Just before I forget, I have to give a shout out. I felt like a celebrity outside Oriel Park. And I had to give a shout out to young Tom Crawley. I was talking to himself, and I think it was his dad who was with him. I think he mentioned his nan as well. But I had to give a shout out to him, Tom Crawley. They're listening every night. So I hope he's not. I'll mention it now in case he's going to bed. It might have been a bit of a spin home after that. That might have been that boring the game up in Oriel Park to the young club. But so look, and cheers for listening and that. But I want to get. Obviously you're filming the game, Chris, but I was talking to Ken from the Men Who Save Football, and we were talking to the two midfielders, Sloggett and Doyler in midfield. Do you think they can work as a two, or do you think, like Tiarnan was saying, do you need Williams in there to kind of give that little bit of edge on it?
I think Tiarnan is right. I think they're very similar players. That they don't overly complement each other. I think they're looking for the same style of football, towards I think Dan Williams is probably a bit more expansive in what he does. There's a car just blinding me, lads, in case anyone's wondering what's going on here. And I think that's it. But I think it's probably a thing where, you know, we're going to have to bring in different people at different times, and that was probably a game just to see what way we could play with them. Can we play both of them together? As I said, I didn't think it was Greg's best game tonight, but we still got the result. I still think they did a half decent performance out of it, but I still think Dan Williams has it's just something different that he offers compared to.
I think he just likes he plays forward a lot more than the boys like, and then when he plays, then Robbie can near play. Like, Robbie will run in the corners and all then, and then you can trust when he's there by himself. Greg probably plays a wee bit higher then at times when Dan's there. And again, it's unfair to ask the two boys to go in and play in midfield if they haven't probably played together either. But if they got a run of 5 games together, you could say, Jesus, that's the partnership. Because they're not bad footballers. It's just trying to learn, what's his strength and weakness. Now, Paul Doyle, I actually in pre-season thought he was going to be one of the ones to look out for. And he probably just hasn't settled as well as others, or I'm not sure what it is, but he was the one that I was actually looking forward to. But then Dan Williams has just come out, and
Yeah.
I just like the way he has the wee bit of tenacity and he'll do that wee bit extra, and I like the way he can kick someone as well, and it's not in today's game.
I think he was one of those players that when we kind of thought, like I think he just signed a contract before he came over here on loan with Swansea, I think, but I think you thought he was going to be bit part. Now, obviously, we didn't know what he was like, and we just assumed that it would be Doyle or Sloggett and Benson. But I think Williams has been. Look, they could be wrong. Joe Adams has been great as well, but Williams for me, he's almost flown under the radar. People don't really mention him, even in man of the match stuff here as well. He could be a top. Like I definitely agree with Tiernan's assessment that he could be like one of the signings of the season. I would have had Doyle. I was saying with Gavin McLaughlin when we had him on earlier in the season. It was Doyle to watch out for, but I think Williams could be an absolute masterstroke.
Yeah.
Now Bradley is probably getting outdone by here as well. Yeah. Like he hasn't.
Yeah, of course.
Forget about him. He's just done all right, hasn't he? Like, but, yeah, for a kid who we probably just thought, and it was funny because it was Stephen Bradley kind of job, wasn't it? But
yeah,
he's come in and set the place alight, and I think he's actually better against the better teams. Like the low blocks probably doesn't suit him because he's probably 2 or 3 people to beat. But when you're playing against like that Derry game and he had 1v1s and he can come inside. He's a great left foot. He can have a shot or a pass. That's what, when we play against the better teams, I think he's a lot better.
Yeah.
When he plays probably like tonight, he's probably facing against a low block of 2 and 3 people in front of him. It's again, the 1-2s, obviously, that's what is more important tonight because you have to move it quicker. But when it's more counter attack, I think that's what helps him and Dickie Kelly because the two of them have lightning pace. And I think the two of them have a goal in them as well, you know what I mean? So, and then the thing that always goes under the radar is Pat's passing ability. The man,
after watching tonight, he could easily play centre of the park. Like
I think. Can you not remember the cup final? Not remember the cup final against Rovers when he dropped into midfield and he was tucked off and he was raging.
That's
right. The best player. He was the best player in the park. It was ridiculous how good he was in midfield.
Yeah.
Now, if he hears this, he's going to get a massive big head, isn't he? Like, let him away with it. It's all right.
No, I have to say his covering of the field. Like I know he comes deep anyway, and you'd kind of think almost it's frustration because he's not getting the ball, but he can impact the game. Like I'm not trying to liken the Premier League football. Remember when Scholes started at United and he was playing higher up the pitch, but then he came into midfield to look for the ball. His passing that's probably something that we don't mention enough. Tiernan's right. Like he was sensational tonight. When it comes to he might just miss out on man of the match going by some of the comments in, but he could easily play midfield if you needed him. Like no problem. Like even just ahead of the two, he's excellent. Like his fitness. Like I mean, it seems like he's in his 40s. And he's played that long. He seems like he's older than he is. And he was excellent. I have to say, it's like his range of where he could play. Like I mean, obviously he'd play anywhere, probably given a chance. But yeah, he definitely could drop into midfield if we needed it. Absolutely, yeah. It's something that does go under the radar with him.
I think tonight, though, you've seen a lot of Pat Payne with his back to goal, open up play, kind of looking for a little pass in behind, knowing that, and Tiernan, you just said it, with the pace of Bradley one side and Dickie Kelly the other, he knew every time if he put a ball in behind the defender, they'll run all day for him. And that just opens up the play and gets him a chance to get into the box. And I just think he definitely had one of those games tonight. The goal just capped it off. Like we haven't even talked about, Pat's goal scoring record. I mean, he's on course at the moment so far this year. You would say that he's going to break it. Like he's going to be a name that's going to come up in history books in years to come. And Dundalk on, what was he like? People will be asking us, what was he like when we seen him? Like, we think of the season where he just absolutely hammered everything, but there's actually a lot to his play, not just his goal scoring. And I think you're probably seeing a bit of that, like the setup for the first goal tonight, that he actually adds a lot to the team and to the players around him. And I think I think he's right. It's probably something that goes on said a fair bit for him because his goal scoring will always take preference. But I think his all-round play is fabulous. And don't say he can play midfield because then Rovers will want to buy him.
Another midfielder for them.
A left-footed tonight as well. Left-footed strike as well tonight. And Pingu, just Pingu's not on after the brutally game before the debating, but no, like he's right. Like it is something. Yeah, look, like you're right, Chris. It's something obviously we're seeing the best of, but in years from now we'll go like, you know, what a player. It's like when it's the same with Tiarnan there. When Tiarnan was in his pump, you know, it's the same thing. You know, like when he left, and you're like, oh,
definitely not. Don't need to be nice. Just be honest.
But no, like just his. To me, maybe it's just I sit up in the stands. He looks a lot leaner. He looks fitter. I not to say that he wasn't fit. Pat Hoban, just to stay on this subject, but he just looks. I don't know if he's more up for it. I don't know if that's just the way we're playing. I don't know what it is, but he just seems like.
In the games, it looks like Stevie's asking him to do a lot more running, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He closes down like a maniac. Like he's going centre half, the centre midfielder, the centre half. I think his body fat. What I'm hearing, his body fat is the lowest it's ever been.
Wow.
So he's in serious nick. He's come back and he wants the record. Like we know why he signed the contract. You know what I mean? Everybody thought, he's leading. There's not all hope. If you know Pat Hoban, it's the one that he wants to win. He wants to have people talking about him. He loves it. You know what I mean? He's playing snooker because he wants people to talk about him. He's a great snooker player.
The pictures him and Sloggett beating everybody.
Him and Sloggett now, yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what he wants, and he will be the record goal scorer. No matter what happens, he will be. He'll go down in history as it. And whoever wants to follow that, best of luck to them.
Yeah, it's going to be some feel like, and it's a pity. Like we'll probably even the bad games he has, they're very far and few between. But people might remember that. But then in years to come, it'll be like what would you pay for Pat Hoban now? What would for that? Like you'll never probably like whether we see the likes of it again. You know, like I mean, I know with Bowes and Shed, you had your Jason Bourne, your Glenn Crowes, that type of thing. But you know, at Dundalk, I don't know if you like to see the likes of it. And even like we're saying tonight, his ability to drop into mid and play the ball and become the ball player. Yeah, he is top class.
When I played with Philly, and it's going back, when I played with Philly years, I thought there was never going to be another striker that I seen like it.
Yeah.
Not that man, he was unbelievable. And then whatever happened. Like, but I know it was the first division and it was different, but Pat has just come in, and the first year when he first came in, he had a wee bit of settling time again, like the boys are having now. But then after that, he just went into beast mode, and he's dominated the league since he's played. Like he's the best striker in the league this last 10 years. You know what I mean? I know he had a wee spell away, and it probably didn't go the way he probably wanted it, but he's come back again. It's easy coming back and saying, right, it didn't work out to me. Have a wee bit of a sulk, and yes, I'm on nice money and all, but he's not. He's come back again in better shape than he's ever been and ready to go again. It just shows testament to himself and his character, you know what I mean? And I think that's why Stevie needed to keep him as well, because you need winners in the dressing room. It's important, the likes of Garth, himself, Andy, for the young boys all around them. Once you have a core, especially when you have a young goalkeeper as well, you need a core around you that is going to drag you through the depths of hell when it's there. And I think them boys, when we share dressing rooms with them, they're the types of characters you need. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I think the biggest compliment here you could give is that you wouldn't swap him for anyone else in the league, though. Sure, you wouldn't.
No, but sure, we all say it, don't we? If Rovers had Pat, it's done.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. I think if you ask any other fans who they would like in their team, you know, Hoban would be one of the first names that comes off their name. You know, if you had him in your squad, you could build your team around him. And we do have him, and that's you know, it's great to see that he's been so influential for us, because as I say, you wouldn't swap him for the world. And you'd hate to be against him. Imagine him going against him. You know, he'd absolutely sicken your happiness.
And he's a moan as well. He's a moan.
Yeah.
You could hear him in the stand between himself and Mark Conley. You could hear the two of them in the stand tonight. Like but it's great to see that, like, you know, the winners, they want to win, and it'd be different the way I'm saying anything.
Yeah.
Chris, we just Darrell Leahy come back tonight, played it, had a decent game. What did you think? Or from your, he was obviously would have started over to get on your end of the field.
That was over yours the second, so it's cool.
Yeah.
That's how halftime works. But I think it was just having, and this is probably why Dan Kelly, you know, had a good game tonight, and will probably play better in that position. When you're somebody naturally playing in their position right behind you, it makes your job so much easier, because you're not thinking, oh, what way is this going on his foot? I need to put it inside him. It's, you know, it's naturally that side. He's opening himself. Dickie Kelly can see every time if the ball's into the corner, he can start running straight away, because Darrell will ping it down the line and give him something to run onto. It just gives us that balance at the back, you know, that we've been calling out for, that probably over the past few games, we're kind of saying that's the only thing that's been missing, is a bit of balance there at the back. And I think we have that. It seems like everyone's playing in a much more natural position. And fair play to everybody. I think they kind of dug in and played out a position when they had to for the sake of the team. But just having that balance back just makes a massive, massive difference. So it's a calming effect in the back when you know someone who knows that position. You're not kind of second guessing, do I need to do something for them here? Or do I need to show for it? You kind of look, I know what that player is going to do, and that just makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah, I think at the start, obviously with the injuries at the start of the season, they've gone between Bone and McCarry, and we were kind of worried. Not that Bone has been bad or anything like that. You know, he's no problem playing.
I feel really sorry for him, Gary, because he's played left back, right back, centre back, and then as soon as everyone's available, have a go on the bench.
Yeah, but it's probably
I've done everything for you.
Yeah, I can only assume. Like, I don't know if it's harsh on him, or there was a thought process in the fact that UCD are quick. McCarry's on the right. McCarry's clearly quicker than Bone, but like Bone would have the brain for it. But like Tiernan's nodding his head, so I'm obviously on the right track here somehow.
I just think with Pats and all next week and all, I think you know what I mean. I think there's more than just saying he's on the bench or dropped or you know what I mean. I think in all fairness, I like Sam Bone. I thought he's better at left back than he was at right back than Louis McCarry was. But I think just again it's the young legs as well. Louis probably had a nice time over the last week when the boys were all in international stuff, and then just let Sam build up his match fitness again. I reckon he'll play next week ahead of thing. Just going back to Inchicore, and I think set pieces and all in tight Inchicore could be big, and he's a big lump for boy. Like,
he's got a shot.
And Dan Leahy coming back, I think it's massive. I think like the whole balance of your team. You know what I mean? It's completely different. You have a left footer in the team. You can wrap it into Pat's feet. Then when it was going out to a right-footed one, he had to come back inside. Then the gaps all close in front of you, and it just, I think that's what kind of killed us sometimes. And remember away to Sligo and all, like Sligo were poor. I know that was a game that I actually was thinking, we take a point going there. Yeah. But I was raging after because I thought they were so poor.
I think the pitch just probably didn't lend itself to any sort of football though either. Sure it didn't.
No, but I still think we've that. I don't think they have the battle that Dundalk have. Like when I talk about the experienced boys, you know what I mean. So we all play in shite pitches, like, you know what I mean. Yeah. And they had to play in it as well, so it's the same for both. But I think if it goes down to the season and at the end of the season we lose out something by 2 points, that's the one. It just plays in my head every time I see Sligo and they're scoring goals and people are talking about them. That night against, they were brutal. Yeah, they did nothing. Yeah. They hadn't a thing.
True.
Bar the big fella playing the big diags with his left foot everywhere, just wanting to kick the ball along.
That'll be our luck now. Just screenshot that little bit of team. That'll be our luck now. It'll come down to those couple of points at the end of the season.
You know, it always does, though, doesn't it? Knowing you have something just stuck in your head, it's like,
you left that behind.
Tiarnan, just on, obviously not. I just going slightly on from tonight's match. You're obviously back up at Oriel Park. What's the atmosphere like? What's the not I don't want you naming any names in the group, but what's the level of football like? We've seen the young Sen and Mullen and that getting a run at an international level from the youth system and that, and we obviously got Ryan O'Kane still above in Oriel Park. And what's the kind of, not the goals, but what's the kind of atmosphere with the young fellas up at Oriel Park? Or do you think they're, you know, would they have that ability to go, not necessarily for Dundalk, but to definitely play at the level required?
Oh yeah, Jesus, yeah. They wouldn't be at Dundalk if we wouldn't think it. Like, at the same time, I know it's me easy saying this, and your players, and you're going to say that. We've some really extremely talented kids. Like, we've 3 boys who are playing in the international setup for the Irish schools who bet Scotland and drew with Northern Ireland last night or Thursday night, and then we've Senan, who we signed as a 12-year-old kid when we were there first. When I seen him down the Candy Cup. The kid's a beast, by the way. Like, he's a great kid as well.
He looks 25.
Yeah, and then we can talk about them all. Like, there's a lot. Like, Moya was come in and played the last 3 games, I think, under 19 for us, and I think he's a level ahead of that. To tell the truth, I think he could be anything he really wants if he gets his mind to it. Ryan's come in and done really well. It's just hard sometimes. Like, we've played the best teams. Like we played Derry away from home, who were the champions last year, and we bet them 2-1. And they're signing all their kids in 3.5-year deals. So we have the players, like, you know what I mean? It's just, again, it's the opportunities at the right times, and hopefully a lot of them can get that. But we've a lot of good kids, and we've a good 20, I think, this year compared to when I was there previous years. There was always a few lacking at the back that you have to sign for squad, kind of, you know what I mean? And it happens everywhere. But this 20 that we have this year, I think everybody has started the game already, or if not more than one. And I think that's testament to themselves. And we've won 2 away from home and drew 1, and then we lost our home game against Bows that we missed the penalty and missed 3 or 4 1-on-1s in the first half, and the game would be completely different then. But no, we're really, really strong, and we like to play attacking football. And like, I always go back to our under-15 cup final that we won. It was 5-4 or something, went to extra time. You want to enjoy games. Like, people want to, like, I want people to come and watch us and say, you know what, that was a good watch, wasn't it? And I know the level mightn't be what people sometimes think it is or whatever, but they can go away with a smile on their face saying, Jesus, it's competitive. The boys aren't shirking challenges. They want to attack with flair and ambition and do something. And again, then when you have to get nitty gritty, you can defend. And like anybody, you know what I mean? The game's simple if we can just keep it simple and don't overcomplicate it. But there's a lot of great kids that we have at the club. But the Senham one's going to stand out at the minute, as he's the,
of course,
17 international. And when you're going to play Portugal, and I think he was playing in the 6th the other night against Finland before he went off injured with a bit of a knock to his ankle. The kid could be anything, to tell the truth. Like, so it's another one that we just have to keep under wraps. And I think he was involved in the squad. He was on the bench, wasn't he, already?
That's right, yeah. He was on the bench last game.
And then Kai Walsh as well would have been on the bench only for something happened as well. So he's another boy who'd pass you to death. We'll talk about probably 2 or 3 locals then that we could have that we'd hope a lot for, is Oisin Coleman in centre midfield. Another technically great footballer, left and right foot, lovely to watch. Big Ibuka scored twice for us last week. He's come in and done well. Young Jack Waters as well, who's another winger, similar to maybe like Joel Adams or something like that. He's a bit of pace and he can go left and right. But we've a lot, like, it's without naming it. We've Craig Moore as well as a centre half, and he's big and physical, strong, good in the air, good leader. But without naming everybody, you know what I mean? We've a lot to. It is, but this squad is really, really competitive. We've a lot of 17-year-olds, and Senan and Doug the Honey, who was in the international setup as well. He was on the standby list. He's another one. So we've a lot of people around the club. So once we just keep them level-headed, that's the thing. And I think I done an interview as well, and I said it's steps. Like, if we can do them, it's babies. Everybody wants to go from 17th, 19th straight to first team. Like, but if we can get the baby steps right, and we can get them in even training, if it's once a month or twice a month on school breaks or whatever, break that barrier down, and they can get used to that environment, and then hopefully get them in training for a full week, and then you get into doing a warm-up or something with the first team, and then get on the bench. And it's all about breaking barriers bit by bit, instead of just wanting what it is straight away, like, because it's not easy. Like, they're Dundalk, they're full-time footballers, they're some of the best footballers in the country. So no one has a divine right just to go in and just because you're good at 19s level. So small barriers, break them down bit by bit, and we'll get there. There's no doubt I think we could have 3 or 4 in the next year or 2 that will start for the first team, hopefully.
Tiernan, you're probably in the most interesting position in Irish football that's presented itself with Brexit. That, you know, these younger kids are going to be here in under our coaches for longer. What sort of an opportunity do you think is that going to create for League of Ireland clubs? Yeah, I'm just thinking in your own way, like, we're no longer going to be thinking we're going to coach these kids up to a certain level, and if they're good enough, they're gone to England and they'll develop them. It's up to you now to kind of develop these players. It's a hell of an opportunity for yourself, but do you see it as a real massive opportunity for the players too, that they can do it locally here at home now?
It's the opportunity we always wanted, isn't it? We always kind of said. Now I know everybody's dreams go to England or whatever, but it's the coach's dream is to coach the best kids.
Yeah.
And they'll test you. They want to test you, and they'll ask you questions if they're good enough. You know what I mean? They'll test you to right to your ability. They'll test the coaches that are around you, and that's what you want, because that's how we all learn. We don't learn by just coasting along. You learn by the hard times and people asking you questions. It might take you out of your comfort zone, but it's great that the more we have the best players in this country, and I think we have a good setup at the minute. I think our underage international managers have done a good job in getting a lot of kids game time and even bring them into squads if they just to even have a look and give them their confidence wise. The 19s level, the 17s level as well is a good standard, but the 19s level has some top kids playing like.
You think a lot of them would have been gone previously, Tiernan, and you think we're starting to see them staying here as a result, and that's what's improving it?
Yeah, 100%. Like we talked about the UCD thing. UCD signed probably some of the top under 17 players last year, and then have played them into their 19s level this year, who I think they've won 4 games. You know what I mean? So unless they're going to go to the likes of Inter Milan, like Evan Zeffi, who's a special talent, or Cathal Heffernan, who went to AC Milan, and you know what I mean? Unless they get them moves, and hopefully we have a player who is that good. And again, Senin could be that good, Dulta could be that good if someone gives them an opportunity, you know what I mean? But I think we need to start going, sorry, we need to go down the level if we could in a couple of years, if the owners and all and everything does work out the way it is, and the first team is steady, the way Derry have done it, like they've signed 16-year-olds on 3.5-year contracts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And 17-year-olds on 3.5, because then they have them, they're theirs. Yeah. Then you have to build them. So you've invested in them. They've invested in you by signing. So then they have to start listening. If they want to be a footballer, they're there. They can't go away anywhere. So if we can get to that level, it'd be massive. Like, because we've kids at the club who will play first team. Like, and if we can get 4 or 5 of them, again, you'd love to have 3 every year that will break the mold and kind of do it that way. But if we can get 4 or something every second year that kind of say starting the bench and again break barriers down. But it's great to have the best young players is what we want, and I think we have some of them in the country.
And tell me, is it hard to, like, you're saying there's a number of players that we currently have that could play at higher levels later on. Is it hard for you to kind of be, when you're talking to these players, to kind of to tell them, you know, the opportunities will come? You know, I think they're probably thinking it's a race, and I want the opportunity now. Is that hard to manage?
It was worse if they could go to England, but that option's not there. So the best players are here.
Okay.
Bar 1 or 2, like the names that we name, but everybody's here still. So the international players that they're playing with, if they're not signed already up by I think most of the squad that went away for the under-17 elite phase, there were probably 18 or 17 of them were home-based players. So
wow.
And they'll only play in that 17 squad if they're playing 19s football. So that shows how high the level of standard then is. So then 17 boys were playing in the elite phase of the whole of Europe, are coming and playing in our under-19 division. And that's why we have we get a nice wee crowd to our home games. Like the Bows game is really, really a good game. Like, I think it would be nice if we could maybe stream a game or 2 against the big clubs when we play them, and try to get things. I think that should be done more.
Chris, that's a job for you. You've heard us straight from the horses, mate, Chris. Get up there with the camera.
But even as a league, like, you know what I mean? Promote these kids, like give them a foot to stand on and say, you know what, they're trying everything for us, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I would like. I'd like the Bows game we had last week, they bet us 2-0. It was a top game. I got texts and all from people who came and watched it, and there was a lot. There could have been 100 or 150 people at it, which is nice for these kids, because again, that's another barrier they have to break. If they just go from no one getting into, like, I think Senin was on the bench against Rovers, and then he had to come on in that game after playing against, you know what I mean, in front of no one.
Yeah.
What does that do for anybody? You know what I mean? You could have the highlights or the lights in your eyes, you know what I mean? And you could free. So if we can break, again, that's another barrier we have to break. But I think for the league, it'd be nice if they start streaming a few games, even if done just 1 game a week. give everybody a game throughout the season. Be
Yeah.
just nice.
When initially all the underage leagues when the structure was coming in, obviously there was pushback from schoolboys leagues and bits and pieces. But do you think we're starting to see the fruits of that now? For younger players, there's a definite pathway to senior football now that was probably missing previously.
Oh yeah, like we can see it even at the club, the way they're doing that pre-academy stuff with Thomas McShane and all. We can get if we can get kids younger in this town, getting more sessions every week by the best qualified coaches. Now the best qualified coaches aren't always the best coaches, by the way, either. So we all know that. Some people have badges out there that could be a Blue Peter badge, like, you know what I mean?
Oh, I've met plenty.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But if we can get them more hours on, like with each other and with better players, like, so that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get the best players in a crowd on one night in the field and trying to because then they test each other. You know what I mean? And that's what. There's no point a kid going to play in a schoolboys league game. I've seen some games last week that were. I don't even know why they even put the scores up. Sometimes it's pointless. Like, you know what I mean? 13-0 and all this kind of carry on. And now I've seen there were some of them in the National League as well, which they shouldn't be allowed to post. I remember when I first came into
the seen one last week. All right, it was a shock.
10-0 or something. It's like why are you even posting? Like, what does that? Well, everybody knows. Whoever was at the game knows. That's fine. You know what I mean? But the whole country don't need to know over Twitter on your national Twitter site that you've bet someone 10-0. Like, at under 14 or 15. Like, well, why?
It
that was one of the rules.
It doesn't even do anything
for the rules when we first started. Like that, there was no. Don't put like. It's fine. It's done. Move on.
Yeah. No, some of the results, like even for the winning team, long term it'll do nothing for them. You know, it benefits nobody. I've seen some results like that when you were mentioning last week. It's just madness. Like just like there's absolutely no need for it whatsoever. Look, I've been on the end.
Celebrate it like it was a Premier League scoreline.
Yeah.
I know we all want to win, and winning's important as well because it builds character and it builds a winning habit. But like at under 15 level, if we've no sportsmanship and we've nothing like that, then we're a long way away from what we should be as a country, like as an organisation. You know what I mean? If that was our under 15 team and that was posted, I'd be raging. Like I really would be. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think football's meant to teach you some values as well, Tiarnan, isn't it?
Yeah, even if at 19's level, if that happened, if we, for God forbid, and it'd be great if we did, and we went out next week and we won 10-0, I would not be asking Gavin to put that up on the academy page. It'd be the 17s and 15s, whatever happened, our week is blank.
Yeah.
Because again, as Gally said, what do we get out of it? We got nothing from it.
Yeah.
You know, we got a bit of confidence, obviously, as a team, but we don't need to. You know what I mean? We don't need to tell the world. Move on to next week and we go again. But at 15 level, if it's happening, is embarrassing. I'd hope that it's probably tucked down and removed, but knowing the club that it is, I doubt it is.
Probably not.
No, definitely won't be. No, definitely won't be. Tiarnan, just not to go back on years gone by, when you were mentioning the likes of the talent now that's there, we've mentioned this podcast before that maybe the success under Kenny might have halted some of the players, coming up through the ranks. You know, they might. Do you feel there's anybody there? Or do you think that happened? First of all, do you think there was players who didn't maybe get a chance? Was there any in particular that you would have seen, even when you were playing there, or would have heard of, that probably could have got a crack at it and didn't, and were maybe allowed to go somewhere else?
No, the Stephen Kenny era, no.
Right.
And I'll tell you why. So Stephen would only have a squad of 18 players. If you ever go through a squad, it was never a massive squad. When he got to the group stages, he might have went to 22. Stephen loves 11v11s on a Thursday. So if you were 11v11 on Thursday and had any injuries, it was 19 players roped in. So your chance was there. You mightn't have seen it on the bench, or you mightn't have seen it on the first team, but your chance was Thursday nights. That was your cup final. There was players there who I still think, there's one in particular in my head that I still think could be playing League of Ireland at one of the best centre-halves in the league if he actually got his head right, and Gavin Smith. He was with us with my Heaven and More last year. Yeah. He's a Rolls Royce. He went to Warren Point, it didn't work out or whatever. Right, yeah. But he was still a young kid at that time. But I think he's 22. He's one of the best centre-halves I've played with. Himself, Mark Traynor as well. Mark Traynor is with us at my Heaven and More. another top kid who's a good defender. Could have got a career if you took a chance on going somewhere else. But other than that, like the two O'Connor brothers played, they've got a career out of it. They're still playing. There's not much others than that. And then in around that time, I think Stephen offered maybe, there was Jack O'Keefe as well, but them boys like Gavin, I think, and Jack O'Keefe, I think they were offered full-time contracts, and I think it was just turned down, and I think they weren't, I don't know, just that they turned it down and Jack wanted to work. I don't know what Gavin's was. I think he signed and then he didn't play enough, but he was a kid, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all make silly decisions when we're a kid, but he's one that I think he's only 22, I think Gav is. I think if someone, talking to Darius tonight even about him, if someone could just take a chance on him, he's the one I would still take a chance on. But then it went to the Vinnie Peart era, and we look at the squad when that happened, that went to 30s, and no kids only getting, there's no kid ever getting a chance there. Like, now whether that was Vinnie signing players or the club signing players at that time, Stephen ran the club, the whole club. It was like Alex Ferguson, he was the boss. Then when Stephen left, I think the club and whoever was taking over was just bringing players in from everywhere, and it stifled. Even when we were there, even as coaches, we knew at the 19s level, and that's probably when we had our poorest 19s teams, in all fairness to some of the boys, because they probably knew they weren't going to get in. There was 32 senior professionals in front of you.
Yeah.
So if you're doing 11v11, you needed 20 players injured.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's so unrealistic. And I think if you go back to Stephen this year, so I think Stephen's is similar to probably what Stephen was, and I think that's what helped. So we've had Mick Keys, Jack Kavanagh. So then we have Moira and Ryan. We've had Tig. Now we have Senan. So we've had 6-7 kids already involved. Again, like I keep on going back to, it's something so important. It's steps to have to break barriers each time. And I think Tig Walsh, even when it was his first night down in Cove, I think there was a nice tweet about him. People were so impressed by him, especially when you're going down to a first division side who make it nasty and dirty, and he's passing the ball around for you. Then he's captain his country. You know what I mean? At under 18 level for the school. So we've some kids who can break the mold. Like if they just take it step by step and not get ahead of themselves.
Yeah, and I think in Stephen as well, O'Donnell, you'll have a manager there that we've seen at Pats that, you know, if they're good enough, you know, and he fancies that, you know, if they're going to get their chance, this will be the time, and they'll get it over the next couple of years. Like, you know, it'll be music to your ears. I mean, it's a good pat on the back for all the work you're doing as well. You're able to have confidence in these players, and I think a manager like Stephen O'Donnell will definitely get, like we've seen with Mark Hanratty and, you know, Mayo. I know he hasn't got his chance. He played under Vinny, but they're on the fringes there, and I think it's only a matter of time before we see them getting a regular running, I think.
Yeah, but even if they don't play, like, and that's the problem. But people leave Dundalk, like, you can still get a career, like, you know what I mean? Or like Mark Hanratty doesn't play for Dundalk this year. Don't drop out, like, don't say, oh, it's done.
Yeah.
Go to whoever, go to Shells or go to someone who's just underneath you and say, right, I'm going to find my way back. Look at the career Garth's had. You know what I mean? He went to Newry, let go from Portadown, boom, and he's winning titles everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just the manager sometimes doesn't fit the player or something happens, but it's one thing I probably regret as well at probably 26. When I left Dundalk at the time, I was at an age where I just wanted to play and then to go and win the league, wouldn't it? Like, but never mind.
Just when you mentioned that, I wasn't planning to ask you this kind of question.
But now you will.
Well, yeah, no, it's just when you have an ex-professional footballer in front of you. Do you ever regret? Was there ever a deal on the table for you that you regret not saying? Was there ever a club in for you in Ireland, or was there anything like that you regret? Oh, I probably should have went there. Was there anything ever like that?
There's I think everybody always gets offered stuff, but I was offered a mad one when I was like 18, 19. Sporting Fingal, but we were promoted that year, was it? I think I could have been 18, 19.
Fingal were the big spenders then, weren't they?
It was carnage, like, compared to what I actually signed for Dundalk. Like, I'm talking 10 times the amount, like, but I was a Dundalk kid, like, you know what I mean? So I wasn't.
Of course, yeah.
We just got promoted. I think I signed a pre-contract with Jerry Matthews before we were promoted up in Kildare, and then So I was never going there, but it was mental, like head case stuff.
And look what happens for Fingal,
Yeah.
like with all the players.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So sometimes you just have to, like,
Yeah.
I wasn't in it for money. I love playing football, and I still do. Like playing tonight from having more. So I just like playing, and whether I'm fit or not or whatever, but I'll still play. Like that's my life. Like so. Yeah, but there was a couple. Like there was Shells at the time as well. Dermot Keeley at the time, and then we had ones from Cork and Pats. I was probably offered a contract from every team in the country. Like, but at that time I was known as a wee whippet kind of, you know what I mean? And if even with Stephen was on, like I was the super sub kind of thing, you know what I mean? It was 11 winners in that year or something. I think I scored. So I had impact, you know what I mean? There was impact there, but so be it. That's life. You move on, and it's on to someone else then.
I without putting it down to that, I still remember the semi-final and draw in United Park. I remember we went down to 9 men, and you were in on goal, and
man tips it on to the crossbar.
I could still see, like I was up off my couch. I was like, this was going to bear. I couldn't, because we were playing, like we were so under the. I was mental, like 9 against 11.
It was a crazy game.
But then you'd so much, like they gave you. It's like they didn't see you. It was like they just said, no, we'll just let him run. Like it was mental how much space.
I'm not joking. Couldn't believe it. I was celebrating. I'm not joking. I was gone.
Yeah.
I think it hit his, I don't know, a thumb or something, and hit the.
It was nothing. Like it was nothing to tuck it away. I was just one of them. Like unbelievable. One of them games that stick in your head.
Yeah, there's always them. What a nice one.
Yeah.
No.
But there's
no.
But
you always. I think every player is offered contracts from all over the place. You know what I mean? The one I regret taking is probably going to. And it's not a nice thing to say. When I signed, I went to Glenavon from Dundalk, did I? Yeah, I went to Glenavon from Dundalk when I left. And then we won the Irish Cup. And it was massive. It was their first Irish Cup in 19 years or 21 years or something. And I should have never left. Ever. I only was there 6 months or something. Yeah, Glenavon it was. But Cliftonville came in for me, and it was where my family was from, and it was like a Dundalk thing. I used to go to Solitude as a kid and stuff like that, and it kind of just pulled strings at me hard. But your goal, Joe the goal was there. When was I ever going to play?
Yeah.
Good point.
You know what I mean? When you think things through, but that's life. Like
there's certain things come knocking at your door, and you'll only regret it then maybe if you didn't do it and that type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. But sure, you always back yourself, don't you? So it's doing Joe the goal, so I can play there.
Yeah.
And then. That's life. But no, we won a League Cup, we won a County Antrim Shield, and came second in the league. So it was a nice year still, but didn't play enough, kind of.
Yeah, it must be great to be able to tell them kind of stories. I nearly signed for here. We're sitting here doing a podcast. Like it's a mad comparison, isn't it?
Yeah, but I finished too early probably as well. Like, to tell the truth, like Emma says it to me all the time. Why did you stop? But the coaching grabs you, and I think once you start coaching, that's you done. I think it just grabbed me in. The 15s was just starting in the country. I think we won the league with Mahevin Moore as a manager the first time we won the MDL as a club, and then I got offered that, and I just said, you know what, just go and stop playing, and
never tempted to go back in, no, or ever. You probably did get offers, in fairness.
Oh yeah, you could still get offers. Because I still think if I got fit, I could go in and play. Like, but I think everybody, you have that in your head, don't you? We're all, but I could be playing.
I could play, yeah. I couldn't get a game with the Bells. Never mind.
As my old mate Jason McConville would say, you wouldn't get a game in the PlayStation.
But no, listen. What are we on now, Chris? We're touching an hour, are we?
Yes, yeah.
We like that. We like
that. Better start wrapping stuff.
Yeah. Tiernan, it's brilliant to have
you
you
on.
on.
2 hours and all that. You used to be turning stuff.
Oh,
like, I think the longest we done a podcast one night. I think it was 2 hours 37 minutes or something. And like we it was easy to fill because of what was going on. Do you know what I mean?
There was that much mayhem going on.
Time just flew past. They were mad days. Like people.
Yeah, it's probably a 4-0 win, and some mad news come out of the club or something.
They were just mad. Like our average time was probably 90 minutes Evie 100 minutes, whatever it was. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, them's the days. It's like it's like reminiscing how when you offer contracts. The other day, ours was reminiscing over 2-hour podcasts.
Yeah, nowadays it's a piece of piss. You know what I mean? Sure, it's handy.
Exactly.
You know what people are at. And plus, you haven't got the staff here to even talk, so you're grand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. And we thought we didn't realize that we actually came on. There was only myself and Chris and yourself. We thought it was more, but look at that's the joy of home. The home match has been back on.
Exactly. Tiarnan, thanks for that, pal.
Pleasure, boys.
Thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate 100%. It. It's great to talk to you.
Speak soon.
Cheers, Tiarnan.
Thanks, pal. Gally, you're nailing this producing now.
I'm not going to get it. I'm hoping you can end it because I can't.
I'll end. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, thanks for everybody for tuning in. We didn't even get round to. Did we get round to the man of the match? We didn't get looking at them properly, did we?
I didn't even have a look at anything.
There's a lot of shouts for Robbie Benson.
Benson.
We've got Benson. We have I think it's like for me anyway. I think it's probably raw. It's probably a raw deal on Pat, but Benson probably just shaded it. He was excellent. He covered every blade of grass. But Chris, because you're in the car, I'm going to and I'm producing. I get the hold on it. I'm going to ask you to pick. We've got a shout for giving the pizzas. I think that's for the Weefle. I think the Weefle.
Oh, there you go. That's
is that what we're going with?
That's it. I think that's it.
Okay, so we're going to I don't know if anybody's listening. So young Tom Crawley, if anybody's listening,
Dave Sally's back in with it there. He just messaged back in there, give it to young Crawley lad. So there we go. That's we have to give it to the youth, and then we get them sucked into the podcast, and then you're in the academy structure.
So I don't know what the gentleman's name was with him. I don't know what the man was, but good shout, David Sally, and if we can get him in contact with us, we point him in the right direction.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a free 15-inch pizza there from Tony's Pizzeria for you. I think the other thing we never got really to chat about, and we'll probably chat about more next week. So the LOI Fantasy Team League finally started up. We will have Nathan on next week from LOI Fantasy League, actually on the pod here. So we'll probably get that. Thanks everyone who's joined so far. I think we thought we'd get a handful. And no more, but I think we're about 30 deep now.
So if you haven't seen it, if you go on to loifantasy.com, it's like a fantasy football Premier League, but it's for the League of Ireland. And there's a pass code to get into ours. I think it's no fats, no party is the password to get into our league. So that's the code for us. So there's a shout there. Look at this. There's a massive shout. I don't think we've anybody, Keith, I don't think we've anybody out that far before. Well played to you.
Yeah, I don't know. Keith, I don't know if we'd ever be able to get you a Tony's Pizza either for the man of the match.
There's one waiting when you come back in.
Yeah,
but folks,
I think between ourselves, Gally, I think for our own fantasy league, I think we'll try to sort something for a winner at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So get involved on it anyway. It'll be a bit of fun for throughout the year anyway. What we'll probably do because it's only myself and yourself on now, so for the predictions for the Pats match, we might just post them during the week.
Sure, yeah.
I'll nail it now and say it's a 1-1 draw.
Ooh.
I think I'd be happy enough with that. I think we get out. That's the skip judge match nearly between that. There's the bad aftertaste with Pats. Yeah. It's all set up.
It's one of them. It has a score draw written all over it, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'll go 2-2. I won't go for the 1-1. I think there'll be goals in it.
Yeah.
So I'll go for a 2-2 draw. The boys can get theirs in during the week.
Yeah. And look, we'll get it up and we'll update it. We have updated somewhat of a table for it. Gally was streaming ahead of everybody else, so we haven't published that until we caught up on them a bit more, maybe.
I don't even know what I had tonight. I can't even remember what I think it was.
I think we all had a win anyway.
3 or 4, I think. Yeah.
I'll look back and we'll have a look at that. So between our score predictions and our fantasy league, we're getting a great little community going here of everyone getting involved. Sure, and that's what it's all about.
Just screenshot that from David Sally. I'm just going to screenshot that for Steph later on for his breakfast in the morning. Yeah, folks, look, thanks for listening in. It is only 2 of us tonight, but you look at it's the A team, Chris, isn't it? The A team.
This is it. I got worried when I couldn't hear you at the start. I went, this is going to be
so did I, because I had the controls. This is not going to happen at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, folks, I think we leave it there. Thanks for everybody commenting in. Well done to young Tom Crawley for the pizza, and get in contact with us, and we'll be able to point you in the right direction for your Tony's Pizzeria. And we going to end it on that, Chris?
I'd say just
Well-
until next time.
Until next time.